Hello world. Today I introduce to you RollGraph for PostgreSQL. This pseudo extension for version 16 plus of PostgreSQL defines two views in a fixed schema that describe for any two roles in the system that are related to each other how those relationships manifest. The README file has some excellent information on the design, usage, and modifications of the extension, should you wish to do so. The focus of this video will be showing its output for different combinations of users and groups. And you heard that right. I have brought back the concepts of users and groups that the core project has gotten rid of. As a refresher, a user is simply a role that is capable of logging in, while a group is a role that is unable to log in. So, without further ado, let's bring up the first example. This basic example shows how the system presents roles that have a user group membership. Simple, one level, with the different attributes of admin, inherit, and set, present or absent, in various combinations. Amy, we see, has only the admin attribute, while Earl has no attributes. Otherwise, Ian and Sam have admin attributes on one set of relationships, while they have omitted those attributes on the other. If we come to the right-hand side, we'll see the actual role graph output, where the roles that are related to the advisor admin all have admin privileges, so the top, while the plain service advisor roles do not. The actual presentation of this is role name, one row for every role in the system. Groups, anything with a create role attribute, and then all users. For test purposes, I am filtering out super user, as well as anything else you might think of, focusing on just those roles that the test suite creates. The super users will appear before the create role users. We then have 5 columns that describe the paths of membership from between two roles. The first pathing focuses only on obtaining admin option from one role to another. The second, third, fourth, and fifth columns are broken up by users and groups, member of, and delineate whether there is a set or an inherit both, or a special case of inherit but no set, pathing from the base role to the role listed on the left in each column, each sub-row. For the moment, aside from there's only one sub-role at the moment for each. Focusing back to administration, we can see that administered by means the other role, in this case Amy, has admin on the group role. And then from, and who is the grantor of this role. The grantor in particular, as well as the set and inherit attributes, to a lesser extent, are why this extension will only work in version 16 and above. So, as described above in the top left, 3 people Amy, Ian, and Sam all have admin on this admin advisor group. And then no one has admin on the service advisor, general service advisor role. However, Earl is the exceptional case. Not only does he lack admin, he lacks any actual grants, set or inherit as well. But there is a membership of Earl in the service advisor group that wants to be represented since it is physically in the database. And so I've chosen to place an empty administration into, and then a corresponding empty of member for that situation. Then for the rest, it's straightforward. The three admins all have admin of the admin advisor group, and the non-admins do not have admin of the corresponding group. The non-admins only have membership in both groups for Sam and Ian. And likewise, from the group's perspective, there are two members. The admin group has the two admin members, while the non-admin group has the two plain members. And this is the base case for showing these role grants with attributes. Next up, we will show the indirection, one level of indirection with Alice. So now we have Alice and service advisors again, our create role user, the admin, and our super user. In the prior example, the super user did all the work. Here, the super user has chosen to delegate its ability to manage roles to our admin, our create role user. In so doing, whenever the create role user creates a role, the system will automatically generate an admin grant from the create role user to the newly created role. These black lines with the A's represent those automatic grants. Looking at how this actual creation happens informs the rest of the graph. So when we run the test script, we do so in the context of the create role user being the current role via a set role from the super user. They then set their configuration setting, create role self grant, to include both the set and inherit automatic grants. After which they create two new roles and grant membership to Alice in the service advisor role. Returning back to our graph, those three actions, those three SQL commands, are establishing these three reddish arrows as well as the Alice and super service advisor group roles. The configuration variable being set to set inherit made it that these were SI as opposed to S or I. Had they been empty, these pink lines would not have been created. Well, rather, the pink lines from admin to Alice and admin to service advisor would not have been created. Those came implicitly with the role creation. The grant, however, was explicit, and the SI came from the grant. The way this now manifests in the role graph is that the service advisor is administered by CR, by admin, and the super user provided this grant. And likewise, the CR admin, who is a create role user, has created and has admin over both Alice and Service Advisor, again from the super user. Alice themselves is administered by the admin. Alice is a member of Advisor. This is from the admin. However, because of the implicit creation of a membership of admin in the newly created roles, we also have that admin is a member of a user, which is unusual but allowed. And they're also a member directly of a Service Advisor. However, they're also a member of Service Advisor through their membership in Alice. And so we now have a VIA. A VIA is one level removed from the endpoint listed. What that node is, in this case the user Alice, and who granted that with which permissions. And then when you look at member of, you have the same thing. CR admin is a member of the Service Advisors through via the Alice role, permitted by the admin with an S and an I set and inherit attributes. This level of indirection allows for an interesting situation where I may be able to set to a role and then inherit from a role, even if I cannot inherit from that role directly. The next example will demonstrate the setup and presentation for this situation. Thus, we introduce Susan, who can access both an advisor and technicians. And since advisors can access technicians, just like Alice, Susan can indirectly as well. However, in this situation, while Susan can set herself to be an advisor, the advisor only inherits technician privileges. So if we focus on Susan now on the right side and move over to her memberships, relative to service technicians, she has two. The first one is via the Service Advisor. And because the set attribute does not fully translate to tech, and the inherit attribute does not fully translate to tech, but there's a set and then an inherit, it is possible to inherit the permissions of tech while sitting on the Service Advisor role. This I star is the way that this situation is denoted in this view. Then, that is independent of does not concern other paths in the system. The only other path that's relevant here is her direct grant membership in TEX, which is an inherit only grant. And that is shown here. Then, from the perspective of a technician, we have the same indirect. When Susan is sitting on Service Advisor, she then inherits from me, from the tech. And Susan can directly inherit from the tech as well. So that demonstrates the different ways the grant attributes can manifest. The final test output we will look at, the final graph, we'll be looking at what happens when two administrators are defining paths through the same group hierarchy. And so here, test 6 is our final test. Here, our blue leader relative to the service tech and kind of advisor. But we actually have two administration roles. We have the create role that we've talked about previously, as well as having a green leader that's been set up by the super user to have administrative privileges on all four groups. The admin likewise has administrative privileges on all four groups. The admin has created an additional administrative link between the green leader and service managers, between service managers and advisors, and between advisors and techs. Green leader, with their admin option, has created those service manager to advisor links and the advisor to tech links, as well as links from blue leader to fixed ops and fixed ops to service managers. Thus, from blue leader's perspective, they have one way to get to fixed ops managers, one way to get to service managers, two ways to get to service advisors, and then two ways from advisors to get to techs. However, the final path to tech is one of four combinations of these last two paths: green, green, red, red, green, red, red, green. And you'll see that I've set up on the green pathing the set that then inherit that we just saw with Susan. Thus, one of the paths should be an inherit only path. The path with the I with an I will give you an inherit path. S to S will give us a set only path, while a double red will have us be able to trace back a full SI path to blue leader. To the right hand side, where these are demonstrated or displayed. Blue leader row, and there's quite a few of them. Member of groups. As shown, green leader gave them membership in fixed ops, S and I. Also, because of their link from fixed ops to managers, they have a SI link. Now, one more level removed, I now indicate that in between the VIA and the blue leader, there is one more node. I don't indicate what it is, but there is one more node in this path. But at service manager, I got their VIA and SI. Service advisor, I get there via the SI path. That's admin in red created. Also, with the one level service manager node in between, or fixed ops manager node in between, the green leader gave a S only grant onto advisor. So this one from one path, two possible options, and then as I described, four possible options. With I star, I, S, and SI, all with two nodes, in this case fixed ops and service managers, hidden, blue leader, here, service tech at the bottom, and service advisor 4 times as the immediately preceding item, node. And that is that.